Mississippi. Joining us now, Captain Criss Turnipseed, Director of the Mississippi Highway Patrol Public Affairs Division. Captain, thanks for calling in and joining us this morning, sir.
Oh, thank you, Gerard. Good morning to you. Happy belated Independence Day to you, and I appreciate, always as usual, I appreciate my walk-up music there.
Yes, sir. We got you covered, man. Rhino's got it going for you. So we wanted you to call in and just give us an update on how things fared across the roadways in Mississippi over this busy and rather protracted Independence Day holiday weekend.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. Well, let's just say weekend. Our holiday period was kind of a little bit different this year since the 4th was not really attached to the actual weekend. So we did holidays. We started keeping track of our holiday totals actually on 6 o'clock on the 3rd and went through midnight last night on the 4th. Mm-hmm. We managed to write about a little bit over 4,400 citations, which was for 2 days. That's a pretty good amount of interaction with motorists there. Bad thing about it, though, Gerard, is we had 4 fatal crashes in those 2 days, and those are, I mean, that's what always tells the tale there is how many crashes we had, and versus, of course, how many of those were fatal. So we had 4 of those. Those were kind of spread out across the state, some up north, a couple up north, a few down south, and that's the bad news of the weekend. That kind of makes your happy Independence Day not so happy when you have those kind of numbers. I only investigated about 76 crashes over the 2 days, which, it isn't too high, but it isn't too low. But like I said, the bad part of that is going to be those 4 fatal. And then your favorite category, as usual,
yep,
is the seatbelt and child restraints. We're about 508 of those. So we're still not getting the picture on that one, Gerard.
Oh my gosh! Well, so a question, and you may not know at this point, Captain, but you said, I believe I heard you say 4 crashes, right? That
4 fatal
crashes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What about those individuals, driver, passenger, in those vehicles? Were they wearing seatbelts?
There was. I think I'd have to go back and look at my data on that. I looked at the information that was sent in. I believe 1 out of those 3 was actually restrained, and I can't remember which one that was. I think we had one of them that was a collision with an 18-wheeler that. Even with a seatbelt on, those are kind of hard. There's not much protection we can give you when it's a passenger car versus something that size. But I believe it was 1 out of those 3 that were actually restrained. I'd have to go back and do some digging, looking. I don't have all that data pulled up in front of me. If I'd have known, I would have got the exact info for you. But majority of them were unrestrained. I think one of them was actually even a motorcycle crash. One of them was involving a pedestrian, which seatbelts were not a factor there, and then the motorcycle, of course, doesn't have seatbelts. Then we had one that was with the big truck, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So 4,400 citations, right, Captain?
Yes, sir. 4,400 last year. I got to tell you, I mean, we did a 2-day period this year because of the way the holiday was. Last year it was a 5-day period because the 4th actually fell right on that Monday, so they included the weekend, and we wrote about 8,000 last year.
Okay.
But that was 5 days.
5 days, yeah.
So this was 2 days worth, and we're a little bit over 4,400. So I guess if you ratioed that, 2 days versus 5 days, we probably did a little bit more.
More this year, yeah. About 500 more a day this year, which seems like a lot. So that suggests to me, just doing the quick math there, that we got troopers that are issuing multiple citations in that 2-day period.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's their job to get out. And, I mean, like I said, the mission always is to go love on those fatal crashes. So they're going to get out there and bust their tails and work hard to try to keep those to a minimum. But sometimes, I mean, despite your best efforts, things happen, and you have the fatal crashes that we have. It wasn't because of the lack of effort. I can assure you that.
Sure. Are there any new laws that went into effect, as they typically do, July 1, that affects motorists, Captain?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And I actually got on the phone. I was trying to make a couple phone calls. Nothing of note, Gerard. I talked with the colonel this morning, and there was nothing of note. I know they're working on a couple things. He didn't tell me what those were, but they're trying to work on a couple things for this next session to get passed. But nothing relatively new for state, for the state as far as driving laws passed.
All right. What about new troopers that are entering the system, graduating from the school and so forth?
Yes, sir. We've got 48 that come out of the last class, 67 out here on the road working. Some of those are still in training. We have some prior law guys that had an abbreviated field training program. So we've got 48 new ones, and right now we're hitting a huge recruiting campaign, trying to get ready for this next class we got, which is Class 68. Which will start in January, and so we're out here beating the bushes, and we're going making visits and trying to get some interest. We've had a lot of inquiries about it, so I like where we're going with this, and hopefully we can put another class out, 50 to 60 or so new troopers here in 2024. We're looking. This administration has been really committed to add new troopers every year, which is a great thing. I mean, that's really helpful. I think the citizens of the state of Mississippi will see the benefit of that, and hats off to them for getting us the help we need. Retirement. We got a lot of guys coming up. They're getting older, and just getting out of the highway patrol. They've served their time. They've aged out, and we're trying to keep those replenished with new faces and new names. There's so many of them now started to come on in the last week. I believe we've had. If I remember correctly, we're running our 7th school for this one in January. Will be our 7th school since 2018. And a lot of these names and faces, I'll see them out around headquarters and all, and they're just like brand new guys. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it's just, I know I'm getting up there in my career when I seeing folks I don't recognize anymore, because I've been around this thing for about 25 years now, with a lot of new faces on the highway patrol. We're appreciative of that, and we appreciate what the state has done to help us get that manpower.
So, Captain, when you, to your point, when you look at the net between the natural attrition, those that leave the highway patrol, their time for retire, relative to the newcomers, new troopers graduating and entering service, are we netting ahead or behind in that respect?
Well, it's one of those 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. We net maybe, we net a few. We don't net many. I mean, that's just the way it always is. But, when you keep running these schools, concurrent schools yearly, back to back to back, we're hoping we can get ahead on the numbers. Like I said, it's a slow crawl. It's a slow crawl trying to get the numbers net up, because, like I say, you lose multiple within a year of retirement. So that's the mission, and that's why we keep running these schools back to back. And it's looking better, but it's still nowhere near that 650 that we're allotted.
Yeah. Is there anything you mentioned that nothing notable went into effect July 1 from a law perspective that affects motorists? Anything in particular that you guys are looking for in the next session that you can discuss with us?
I mean, I got some personal things I would like to see, but nothing that I know of.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not on the legal team, and I know the laws that there are out there right now are some pretty good ones. I would like to. I mean, I would just honestly, I'd like to see some maybe some changes and just some easier on our texting and driving, our distracted driving laws. A lot of these states I've heard, recently, like over, I believe in Alabama, they've got an actual, you've got to have law. It's just got to be in a hands free. You can't even be holding a cell phone in your hand while you're driving. So it's got to be totally hands free. I would love to see, just my preference, us move towards something like that. Try to get people to actually stop looking at their phones driving down the road. That's the big one. I would say the biggest thing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
That's the epidemic that we're dealing with, now in the age of technology.
Right.
Mainly is that. So I would say, just for me personally,
Okay.
I would say I'd like to see us try to move towards some of these other
Fair
states,
enough.
or just from a law enforcement point of view, anyway.
Captain, appreciate you coming on, sir. A big thanks, of course, and shout out to the men and women of the Mississippi Highway Patrol, the troopers, who many of which worked on the holiday so that we can be safe on the roads. We appreciate their service. Appreciate you giving us an update. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Captain.
Yes, sir, Gerard. Thanks for letting us get on today, and we'll talk to you later, man. Thank you. Have a great week.
You got it. You too. We're coming right back in the Element